know the why human trafficking work is needed: to fight for the freedom of modern-day slaves. But love, passion, commitment isn't all you need to be an effective and successful anti-trafficking advocate. Learn the how. I'm Dr. Celia Williamson, Director of the Human Trafficking and Social Justice Institute at the University of Toledo. Welcome to the Emancipation Nation podcast, where I'll provide you with the latest and best methods, policy, and practice discussed by experienced experts in the field so that you can cut through the noise, save time, and be about the work of saving lives. Welcome to the Emancipation Nation, episode 152. I'm Dr. Celia Williamson, and today we have Rasha Hamad, and she's the board president and founder and CEO of a program called Youth Underground. It's a worldwide program that gives youth an opportunity to use their voice and become empowered in the fight against human trafficking. Rasha has a BA in International Studies and Business Management from Webster University, that's in Geneva, Switzerland, where she currently resides. And she was awarded a fellowship for her master's degree in mass communication with an emphasis in journalism from the American University in Cairo, Egypt. She's published several articles on a variety of topics, particularly a Harvard series on population and international health in the USA, as well as the Encyclopedia of Global Environmental Change in the UK. So welcome to the podcast, Rasha.
Thank you, Celia. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, so I have been wanting you to be on the podcast for a while now because I know you do some amazing work. And you have a program called Youth Underground. And it's based in Geneva, Switzerland, correct?
That's correct.
Yeah. Can you talk a little bit about Youth Underground and what you do there?
Sure. So we're based in Geneva, Switzerland. We work worldwide. And the purpose of Youth Underground is to educate the youth about human trafficking. And the idea of that is to prevent human trafficking insofar as possible. So what we do is we give presentations at schools to all ages, but essentially tweens, early teenage years, and then the older teens. And the purpose of Youth Underground is really to underline the fact that youth can make better choices when they have the information there. Mm-hmm. It's not a fear factor, it's an empowerment factor. So the more information they have about human trafficking, the more they can observe signs of not only trafficking but assault, of disconnect, of mental health. You know, somebody who's a peer who's not doing well, and they actually contact us and share that information. So the idea is youth empowerment ultimately. Yeah. And I learn, while we do educate, we learn a great deal. I personally learn a great deal because through, the youth have a way of looking at things in a very matter-of-fact and simple kind of, I wouldn't say innocent, but it's untarnished way. Mm-hmm. And they don't pretend. And they can say what we feel or what we think, but in a very simple manner and to the point. And it's very educational for us as well. So it's prevention through empowerment.
I love that you see it as a reciprocal relationship where they gain something very rich from you, and you all gain something very rich from them. There's an implied honor and respect in that way of working with young people, because some people come in and they go, here's the information, I'm lecturing to you, I'll spit it out to you, you absorb it, and I'll leave. I have nothing to gain from you. But the way that you're describing it is sort of reciprocal and empowering to young people, and you really understand how they think because you're engaged with them a lot. So can you tell us a little bit about how Youth Underground works? Like
How do you get involved in educating young people, and what exactly do you do?
Well, there are several ways we do that. Before COVID, we would go to schools and give presentations, but the presentations were interactive in the sense that right off the bat, I would ask. Usually, it would be me giving a presentation, and then my team would take over. But initially, we start off by saying, human trafficking is, and we give the definition and so on, and then we just stop within the 5 minutes, and we have like 4 questions. Where do you think it happens? Who do you think it happens to? And so on. And we say, like, break up into small groups for 5 minutes, and we'll call on you. And that just breaks the ice. So it becomes interactive, and we encourage there is no bad question, silly question, and when a couple of students speak up, then they encourage their peers to do that. So that's what we do in a school setting. We also have survivors. We've had a survivor that has come with us and given his testimonial to different schools for a week. We did school by school by school. And that was, again, very educational, because we gave a small presentation, but we left it it was a male survivor. So it also debunked all the stereotypes that it's sexual exploitation, that it's women, that you have to be from a certain group, a minority. So it was very important for me to get that specific survivor. And he was extremely inspirational. And that encouraged a lot of youth to learn about it, create groups on human trafficking, include it in their the credits. They wanted credits, so they would volunteer for us. So they would come back. The idea of the education is that they come back to us. It's not a one-off. We have all the answers. And that's it. It's always interactive, and they always come back, and that's what makes it so wonderful. We also obviously have Zoom courses. We do those online, and we do those all over the world. So it's providing information, but having a dialogue, and seeing and meeting them where they're at, and as I said, it's not a fear factor, but it's really to inform them that we're all one humanity at the end of the day. Like when they actually saw a survivor, they didn't know what a survivor looked like, and realized that there is no profile. We all look the same. And it can happen to absolutely anyone. And that's the idea. It's really factoring in the idea that the human life is extremely important, that we're all different but the same, that we're enriched by each other's experiences, and there's no us and them, nobody's lesser than, and that's what we educate. So through the umbrella of human trafficking, we teach such areas as self-esteem, confidence, the importance of speaking up to people that you trust. Listen to your inner voice. If there's something you're not too comfortable with, find some. Don't say yes to please others. Define your own success. Shape the world you want to live in. Ultimately, everything is in your hands.
Wow.
That's what Youth Underground is about.
And now we're going to take a short pause for this important message.
The International Human Trafficking and Social Justice Conference is the largest and oldest academic conference on human trafficking in the world. Join us for our 19th annual conference, hosted virtually this year on September 21st through the 23rd. You will have the opportunity to learn from and collaborate with thousands of advocates, researchers, providers, and survivors from all over the world. You don't want to miss it. Find out more and register today on our website, traffickingconference.com.
And I think that there are so many lessons that you're teaching, direct lessons, but also indirect lessons about power and about voice and about choice and all of those things that are critical, and you're hitting a lot of the best practice elements of, having different ways of learning, not just lecture, engaging people, having them be interactive, having them come back and get involved, not just be a passive learner, but get involved in the actual issue. I mean, all of that is amazing. And those are great tips and tools for other people that are engaged in prevention and want to do education. And so, what other countries has Youth Underground participated in?
Well, we're very active in the US, and that's why we would like to have an office there, because I would say that the US is probably where we work the most with, obviously, since COVID, it's been via internet. But what we do, I think the US is our biggest client, so to speak, but we work all over the world. We work in Africa. We've worked in several countries of Africa, namely Cameroon. Cameroon has been extremely active because in one part of Cameroon, you've got the English speakers, and then on one part, you've got the French speakers. So there's conflict there. And through conflict, obviously, children fall through the cracks. There's a lot of trafficking. So we've done, again, toolkits for Cameroon. We've worked with in the UK, obviously Switzerland, but Switzerland is really through the schools, not through adults. Campaigns that we've done on posters, on public transportations, visuals that people can see, people of all social levels and classes can see. So we do work everywhere. We've been requested to work in India, so it's something that we're looking into, but we won't do that right now because India is huge, because it's such a huge country, and there are many layers to it. So we do work in all over the world, and obviously now with the war in Ukraine, we're working in Eastern Europe as well.
And along with the presentations, there's a toolkit. And does the toolkit involve the posters and that sort of information?
It does, but what we also encourage the youth to do is that they create their own posters, and then we print them out.
Oh, I love that. Yeah.
So that they feel they're involved, and then we can understand. We can understand what they have captured from what we've presented, and then they can put it in their own words. And that's what makes it more powerful, because if you're going to different countries, they have their own ways of expressing themselves, and coming from them, they feel that, okay, we've contributed to this. We are doing something against it, against trafficking. And it's a complete partnership. It's not us coming like we have all the answers. And that's what's so wonderful.
I love that. And it's not only in a classroom or a more traditional preventive kind of approach. So tell us a little bit about some of your recent adventures. Like you were just talking offline about what just occurred, one of the challenges that you had, the Transcendence program. So talk about that.
We had two, as I said, we have volunteers throughout the year, but there were two that came to me to us, and then I met with one of them last September and said, I'd love to volunteer for Youth Underground. The question is always, what do you want to do? Because youth excel in different areas. If somebody does art, I'm not going to ask that person to do research because they won't, Mm-hmm. So this particular student was just a young graduate, 18 years old, and she said, I love art, but she couldn't think of combining both. And I said, show me your art. And she showed me some of her art through her cell phone. And I saw it and I said, well, why don't we raise awareness about human trafficking through art? Would you be interested in doing that? And she said, absolutely. And she got one of her friends on board, so Sarah and Paul Michael. both 18 years old, and they came up with the idea of tracing the journeys, respective journeys of two survivors that we've worked with and we continue to work with. And they said, can we get in touch with them? So we put them in touch, and they focused on the journey before, during, and after, through art. And we had an exhibition actually yesterday of their visual art. So it was a combination of very different art, very profound, and celebrating the fact that they survived is probably not the word, is managed to get through such challenges in their lives. And what resonated with those that came, because there were people really of all ages, from 10 years old to much older, 60s and 70s, was the fact that the narrative was positive. It's a success. These are success stories. Survivors are powerful people. They're inspirational people, and nobody is less than. We're all the same. And so it was really a celebration of life. And although we were talking about an issue that is a serious issue, the way they managed to portray it in such a profound way, but so engaging to everyone. Art is wonderful. It's a wonderful medium to attract people and educate people. It was just wonderful. And the adults in particular were very moved by it, because they didn't quite understand what human trafficking was, and assault and everything that goes with it. And they learned. And they were, extremely impressed by the fact that these two 18-year-olds managed to, over the months, come up with a project so mature at such a young age.
Well, getting young people to have an outlet to express their humanity is wonderful, and then playing to their strengths. If they're artists, create art. If you're researchers, do research. I mean, if you ask me to create art, you're gonna get some stick figures. That's not my strength.
No, I think it is important to focus on what they like, because when they do focus on what they like, then they excel, and they do it with every part of their soul and their and conviction.
Young people are very dramatic, and they love, they hate, and we need that in our lives, because
we do.
We get older and we just kind of begin to numb out, but they remind us.
It is. It's true. It's like a reset for us adults,
Yes, absolutely. Is this art displayed online or? Yeah,
we're gathering all the images, and we are going to display it online. It's going to be on our website. We have a few videos, but we have different people. I had a videographer, photographer. So we do have, we're putting all that together, since it was just yesterday, and we're going to have it online.
Oh, awesome. And if someone wants to get a hold of Youth Underground or you, because they're interested in prevention education or getting involved in, and maybe they're young people themselves and they want to get involved in the fight against human trafficking, how do they get in touch with Youth Underground?
They can get in touch by sending us messages on Instagram, on Twitter, on Facebook, and they can directly email us at info@youth-underground.com. It's on our website. If you look at Youth Underground, you'll find it on our website, and the link is there. Just contact us and we respond right away.
And Rasha, what is in your future over the next 3 years? Where do you see yourself or Youth Underground going?
I see really expanding education in schools and institutional, organizations. There are informal school settings, there are it depends what countries, they don't have the typical school setting, but they have groups. So I really do, I actually envision it in my mind. I see it in my head, that children are given the possibility to understand what human trafficking is. And as I said, through human trafficking, understanding the importance of a human life, mental well-being, assault, breaking down taboos and stigma, and changing the narrative of all these issues, which are so important and so prevalent, and we need to talk about those a lot more. So I see myself, I see Youth Underground moving to different countries. As I said, we were aiming for the US at the moment. So really be more boots on the ground, so we can actually meet the students, meet the people that we want to work with.
Rasha, thank you so much for what you do, and I hope you will continue to do it and be successful for many years to come. So thank you so much.
Thank you for this opportunity, Celia.
That was Rasha from Youth Underground. And what Rasha was really talking about are these 9 elements of effective prevention programming. And there was a study done by Nation, Keener, Wandersman around 2005. And what they did is they looked across bodies of literature. And they identified these 9 elements that seem to appear in every evidence-based or best practice type of prevention activity. And so they did a total literature review, but not just a literature review of one body of literature, but they looked across literatures. So they looked across youth violence, that literature. They looked across the literature on substance abuse and how you engage in prevention with young people. They looked across risky sexual behavior, juvenile delinquency, and school failure, and they identified these 9 elements. And if you were to re-listen to Rasha's interview, you would hear each one of these 9 elements present in her discussion about what they do at Youth Underground. So the first of the 9 elements is comprehensive services. So any good, effective prevention program that's going to focus on preventing human trafficking, for instance, should offer comprehensive services. That means that the strategies should include multiple components across multiple settings that really address a wide range of risk and protective factors of the target population. So you see them doing artwork, you see them presenting in schools, you see them working with young people even after the presentation to play to their strengths and get them involved in the fight. So very comprehensive. Varied teaching methods, that's the second element of best practices. That means that there are multiple teaching methods. You don't just go in and present to a classroom and then leave, but there are lots of interactive types of components, skill-based components, role plays, art, like she talked about. So just varied ways of teaching. Then the third element is sufficient dosage. So you can't just, or shouldn't just go in when you want to engage in effective practice, go in and do a one-time presentation, but you want to give youth a sufficient dosage. So maybe there are youth that aren't really at risk at all, and you can go in one time, and that's great. Or maybe there are young people that are at risk, which means that going in one time to do one presentation is insufficient. But we can't identify what would be sufficient because it's really specific to the types of youth and the level of risk that they have. The fourth element is really being theory driven. So what's the theory behind what you do? And what she talked about was empowerment, giving youth a voice, giving them choice. That is the strategy behind what she does. Positive relationships, that's the next element. fostering strong, stable, positive relationships between youth and adults. Being appropriately timed, that's another element of effective practice. And that means that program activities should happen at a time, even developmentally, where you can have the maximum impact in a participant's life. Next element is to be socioculturally relevant. Programs should be tailored to fit within the cultural beliefs and practices of specific groups, as well as local community norms. So you see her talk about it. Well, when we get into a country, we learn about that country so that we can best engage young people because we have a knowledge about their culture or have a knowledge about their experiences. Outcome evaluation, that's the other element. So evaluating your prevention activities to make sure that your strategies are working, that your programs are effective, that's important. And then having well-trained staff, people that are sensitive and competent, people that can provide the sufficient education and the support that you want to provide to young people. So those are the 9 elements. And instead of coming on here and saying, look, here's the 9 most effective elements for prevention, for human trafficking prevention, perhaps, it's better to hear what somebody is actually doing, and then later on to show you how they are meeting each one of those elements. So we don't want to just do something, remember, we want to do the best thing. So Rasha and Youth Underground, my hat's off to you. You are doing effective best practice work, and we are learning from you all the time. Until next time, the fight continues.
Let's not just do something, let's do the best thing. If you like this episode of Emancipation Nation, please subscribe and I'll send you the weekly podcast. Until then, the fight continues.